Rattle your goddamn head, Vic. That's right. This time we're going to talk about my favorite thrash metal band of all time. If I think about all the different bands in my collection, I would put this band at number 4 after Priest, Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath. All of those bands have one thing in their favor. When you talk about Iron Maiden, you don't just really talk about Iron Maiden. You can also consider the solo works of Bruce Dickinson. He has made some really amazing albums and is about to release a new album next year in 2024, I think. Something about Mandrake, I think. And then there's Judas Priest, and you can talk about Halford stuff also, Resurrection, Crucible. And when you talk about Black Sabbath, there's also Ozzy and Dio and all that. But this band pretty much stands on their own. And throughout the years, they have released lots of albums. And yeah, some of those have been pretty shitty. But surprisingly, many of them have been pretty good albums, or even better than that, great or brilliant albums. And they have done thrash metal, but there have been times when they have done heavy metal, and there have been times when they haven't really done even metal at all. They've done something a bit softer, and even that kind of works and is pretty good stuff. So let's dive into Megadeth, and this is my favorite album from them. The first album, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, from 1985. Just 2 years after the first Metallica album. Here is the original version, and it included this song called These Boots. I think this is the Japanese pressing from 1987, maybe. On these early ones, it really included these boots with these new lyrics written by Dave Mustaine, which were really pissed off and angry. So the original writer of the song just kind of said, "You cannot do that. So you are not allowed to release that version of yours in the follow-up album." So that's pretty much the only side on Final Kill. It's a shame that they don't have that there. But to be honest, These Boots was, in my opinion, always the worst song of the bunch. When I look at the track list, you get Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, Skull Beneath the Skin, Rattle, Head Chosen Ones, Looking Down the Gross Mechanics. It's bloody perfect, and it's probably the fastest Megadeth album. And now that there's a good sounding version of that, which has the grittiness of the original one, but you can clearly hear what the guys are playing. This is my favorite version. If I would now check out this album, I would go with the Final Kill version. It's also got a bunch of demos, and pretty much every song is also played live here, so I think that's really cool. Then, what else? Here's Peace Sells. The second album from 1986. It's a classic. It took some time to grow on me, but yeah, it's pretty much perfect. Once again, I Ain't Superstitious, a cover song. I don't know if that's really necessary, but other than that, this is a really solid, really great album. It isn't quite as fast as the first one, but I guess songwriting-wise, yeah, it's more matured. It's got some real classics here like Wake Up Dead and Peace Sells and all that. Lots of great songs. I mean, pretty much every song here is a classic, up to a point at least. Here's the third album, So Far, So Good, So What. They kind of tried to go a bit punkier, I guess, with this one, but the sound is kind of, there's a lot of echo, I think, there, and it's kind of almost like a synthetic sound. It doesn't quite hit quite as hard as the first two albums for me. Also, Anarchy in the UK, well, this time their cover song became a big hit. I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of cover tracks, But there's lots of things to enjoy here. Set the World of Fire, the opening intro, Into the Lungs of Hell is good. In My Darkest Hour is a classic. Liar, Hook in Mouth is a classic. All in all, a very, very good album. Definitely worth having. And here is the one which people usually consider is the best from them, a Rust in Peace. So they got two Peace albums, the second and fourth, and many would argue those two are the best albums. And I kind of agree, except I like the first one quite a lot too. Pretty much perfect. On this one, I would go with this original version, because if you get the remastered one, they kind of lost some of the original vocals, and Mustaine had to sing a couple of the songs again. I can't remember which those were. Could they be Tornado of Souls and Five Magics, perhaps? I don't know. I can't remember. So that's a shame. So get the unremastered one, the original one. This is the better version. And then there was live stuff released. So with that Peace Cells, what was it? 25th anniversary version, you get a live show from Cleveland, 1987. I made this cover artwork myself, but the CDs, as you can see, are really original ones. So here's the Peace Cells bonus disc, and it's a rough show, but if you really like early Megadeth, you're gonna enjoy that one. And here is the show from Wembley Stadium, London, 1990. I think this is the greatest live show they've ever released. It's just perfect. You get Rattlehead, Wake Up Dead, Hangar 18, Hook in Mouth, The Skull Beneath the Skin, The Conjuring, In My Darkest Hour, Lucretia. Songs from all these four early albums, and they're kind of like in a perfect sequence also. You get, when you get a run of 4 tracks, each one of them is from a different album. Then towards the end, you start getting more songs from Rust in Peace and Peace Cells, but that was to be expected. So, you know, I think that Wembley Stadium show is the best they've ever done to this day. Then we cranked off 90s with Rust in Peace. Let's go to year 1992. Countdown to Extinction, probably one of their best-selling albums, if not the best-selling album. This is kind of reminds me like what happened to Judas Priest after Stained Class when they released Hellbent for Leather. Shorter songs, a bit more mellow songs, but the songwriting is on point. It's really good stuff. It's a bit more simple stuff and more straightforward stuff, but it's still really good. So I would definitely recommend. I know some people really hate this album, but I think it's a cool one. I really like songs, especially Ashes in Your Mouth. Sweating Bullets is a fun one. Symphony of Destruction is a huge hit, probably you've overheard it. Skin of My Teeth, High Speed, lots of cool stuff here. And then there's this, is this an anniversary edition? 20th anniversary edition, where you get a bonus live show from Cow Palace, I think. And it's really great, you know. I would definitely recommend getting that version if you're really into Megadeth. Here's Euthanasia from 1994. Here, if they were not thrash with Countdown to Extinction, if they were like a metal band, here they're borderline almost kind of getting close to hard rock or something like that. But the songs are really well written here. The only trouble is it's really mid-tempo stuff. There's hardly anything fast here. And I think that's a shame, because I like my thrash bands to be fast. So in that respect, this is, I guess, one of the more mediocre albums I have in my collection. But the songwriting is good. A Tout le Monde has been played to death, but it has a great melody. It's a great song still. You get Reckoning Day, Train of Consequences. I really like Addicted to Chaos. I really like The Killing Road, Blood of Heroes. Then on the B side, there's some pretty cool stuff as well. And then there's Victory right at the end, where they really combine the earlier lyrics, and it's such a fun little song and a pretty good tune anyway. Black Curtains, I Thought I Knew It All. I think this is it's one of the, from that era when Dave Mustaine was, I guess, more left wing and kind of against violence and against being drunk and all that. He tried to really get clean and get his act together. Musically, it did get a bit softer, but not a bad album. I actually even like Cryptic Writings, but before that, Hidden Treasures. So not just the albums, but Megadeth was constantly writing new songs. No More Mr. Nice Guy, Breakpoint, Go to Hell, Angry Again. Many of these songs they also like to play live, especially Angry Again. I've seen them on many of their lists. And a bunch of cover tracks like Paranoid and Problems. And I've got some weird bonus version which has some demos, stuff like that, and one radio edit as a bonus. Cryptic Writings. So this is the remastered cover. This is the original cover. Actually, this one is a double disc version, so it has live tracks, I think, as a bonus, and there's a couple of these weird mixes from Almost Honest, different versions from that song, which was the big hit single of this. I feel this really is pretty much close to Euthanasia in many ways. I slightly like this one more because it has some fast songs, like there's the Disintegrators, She-Wolf, Vortex, FFF. So about a third of the songs are fast, and I like that one. Other than that, yeah, some of this stuff is even more radio friendly than Euthanasia was. I guess Almost Honest might be one of those songs. I'll Get Even. Some of these songs are just really annoying and I don't like them at all, like How Cool Will Travel, not a fan of that. But then there's some really, really exciting, interesting, in this kind of, they have a very interesting atmosphere, some of these songs like Trust and A Secret Place. So, yeah, I think this is slightly better than Euthanasia was. And here's the Japanese, this is Japanese version also, with that bonus disc, which is, it's called Live Tracks 2. I don't know if you can see it there, but that's pretty cool. So now that Live Tracks 2 is here, and that's nice, well, you're gonna ask, where's Live Tracks 1? It's here. It was a separate release. It included Reckoning Day, Angry Again, Use the Man, Tornado of Souls, Atula Moon, and She-Wolf. And it's all recorded, I guess, in 1995 and 1997. So after Euthanasia and after Cryptic Writings tours. So these songs, they're solid. You know what you would expect. And on Live Tracks 2, there was Almost Honest, Atula Moon, Sweating Bullets, Symphony of Destruction, Anarchy in the UK. I think there was one of these songs that was here twice, but I might misremember. I might be wrong about that. If you combine these two Live Tracks things, you basically get a live album from 1995/1997 era. So I think that's pretty cool. Here, what I've done with this one is, first we have the Cow Palace show from 1992, which I mentioned around Countdown to Extinction. And then what I've done is I've taken those Live Tracks songs and combined them on one disc. And I checked out the the original show. I think most of that stuff came from Mesa Amphitheater, Arizona, the 13th of June in 1997. So actually there's a hidden track with Reckoning Day. Reckoning Day, Peace, Cells, Angry Again, and so on. So here you get the full set list. The cover artwork is actually done by me, but the material here is like straight from its own original CD. And here I've taken it straight from the source and just combined it, and there's some extra stuff. There's this also this box set with Japanese singles, which have these live tracks on the B side, and various sources that I've come across. So what happened with Megadeth after Cryptic Writings? Well, they kind of I don't know. I kind of lost interest with them around the Risk era. Then they did release World Needs a Hero, which I'm not too excited about. 2001, I think that's released. In 2004, many people say System Has Failed is great. I like Blackmail the Universe and I like Kick the Chair, but the rest of that album, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to excite me. So I figured out, well, they've had a good run. That's all the Megadeth we're going to get into. But I was wrong. In 2006, they released United Abominations. And oh my god, what an album this is. It's really cool. And they get back kind of with that thrashier sound. There's a bit of that 90s influence floating around from around, I guess, Euthanasia era. But it's not just heavy, because System Has Failed was pretty heavy, and World Needs a Hero was pretty heavy, but the songs just in to my ear weren't that good. But here we get that flame back and that excitement. You get the Drover brothers playing guitar and drums, and it's really intense. Sleepwalker, Washington is Next, United Abominations, especially the way the album starts is really strong. And then you get some of the shorter and thrashier songs on the B side. So definitely a great kind of renaissance for the whole band and resurgence. And in 2009 they solidified that with Endgame, which actually I prefer. I think it's even better than United Abominations, because it's faster and meaner. This might be like the thrashiest album they've done since Rust in Peace or Countdown to Extinction. I mean, this is really surprising. The songs are so bloody fast. You get This Day We Fight, you get 1320, Buddies. Buddies was a bit slower, but Head Crusher is brilliant, and they used it as a single from this one, which was great. But Bite the Hand has this riff that's like Set the World Afire, except faster. That kind of riff. And they're playing it really fast here, and Chris Broderick is doing the solos, and oh my god, it's intense. I mean, if Dave Mustaine is a great guitar player, then these guys, I guess starting from Marty Friedman and Chris Poland, are just insane. They're even more skillful than Dave is. I really like the whole album. I don't think there's really a bad song inside. Maybe the title track Endgame, I don't know, isn't the greatest perhaps. But there's really nothing here. Even the ballad song, The Hardest Part of Letting Go and Sealed with a Kiss, I think it works really nicely the way it's done here. I think Andy Sneap had something to do with this album. He might have produced this or something like that. Great work, absolutely. And then The Right to Go Insane has this really Megadethian, really catchy bass riff, which then turns into this guitar riff, and it's oh my god, it's just so entertaining and intense and crazy. I just love Endgame. So then they released 13, I think, in 2011, and Super Collider in 2013, and that was kind of like softer stuff. There's some really interesting songs here and there, but nothing really to grab one's imagination. So I figured out, okay, well, thanks for the two great albums. But lately, I've come to really appreciate Dystopia. It took me quite a long time to get into it. It's kind of a dark album. It's kind of very disillusional. Uh, well, it's called Dystopia, so what would you expect? I think it is a really solid, good album, and the new guitar player Kiko Loureiro is also amazing. Um, the thread is real, Dystopia. I think the title track, Dystopia, it reminds me a lot of Hangar 18. I don't think that's an accident, but it's like in the song structure, it isn't the riffs, but it has that same sort of vibe, and also the closing section, very technical riffing there, and very rhythmical riffing. That really reminds me, and amazing solos. Fatal Illusion, I think, is a cool song. Post American World, Poisonous Shadows, um, The Emperor as a closing track. It brings some of that sound, which is always part of Megadeth, and some of that snottiness, that kind of arrogance, and that style, and that kind of weird sense of humor. I really like that one. And there are some bonus tracks there, which are perfectly fine. And then here's the newest one, The Sick, The Dying and the Dead. I think this is from 2021. Dystopia must have been 2016. I think this is a pretty cool album. It's too early to say if this is as good as Dystopia was. Maybe not, because this is a bit longer album, but still it has some really cool songs. There's the fast stuff like We'll Be Back, Life in Hell, Night Stalkers. I think Soldier On has a really easily rememberable chorus. Really cool stuff. There's the fast stuff. And then there's the bit slower stuff, which is still really cool, like The Sick, The Dying and the Dead. I think Celebutant was one of the weird songs where you're kind of wondering the name and the topic. It's so weird, but actually the song is excellent. Also with Mission to Mars, you kind of feel like, oh, they lost focus here, songwriting wise, or the lyrically, because it's kind of such a weird topic for Megadeth to handle, but it kind of works. The middle section of the album, starting around Dogs of Chernobyl, well, actually, it feels like Dave Mustaine is like losing a relationship, and he's comparing himself to the dogs of Chernobyl. That's kind of ridiculous, you know. But then again, on the first album, there's a song Looking Down the Cross, where basically Dave is like the Messiah, nailed to the cross. So there you go. I don't know if it's some sort of weird sense of humor, or if it's kind of like half serious with that thing, but it's kind of ridiculous. But songwriting wise, yeah, good stuff. I like the beginning of the album. I like the ending of the album. Then there's a lot of stuff in the middle that I'm not completely sure about. Dogs of Chernobyl, I don't know. Sacrifice has really cool ideas, but I don't know if it works as a song. I need to listen to it more. There's this weird downward pattern with the bass, and I don't know. Junkie kind of sounds like a very run off the stream, very middle of the road Megadeth track, nothing too interesting. And Killing Time, I guess, hasn't really excited me yet. This is a Japanese version, which is cool because it has Police Truck, a Dead Kennedys song, as a bonus, and they pull it off really well. So there you go. That's all the Megadeth albums. And we're gonna quickly, if there's a little bit more time, I'll look at the DVDs. Arsenal of Megadeth, basically the music videos plus some extra stuff. This isn't too expensive, so I would definitely grab it. It's, cool stuff. Then there's the live show from Hammersmith Odeon in 1992. And there's actually a bootleg version also. There's official version and a bootleg version. A bootleg version has... it doesn't have such a good picture quality, but it has more songs and a couple of interviews. whereas the official one was released with this war chest box. This is absolutely brilliant. Definitely get this box set. Firstly, it wasn't very expensive. Secondly, you get a live CD from Wembley Stadium in 1990. 15 songs. It's great stuff. Get it. It's the best live CD I've ever heard from Megadeth. And then there's a DVD from 1992, and it's a great one as well. I really don't understand what for some reason they cut off Skin of My Teeth, For Closure of a Dream, Countdown to Extinction, and Symphony of Destruction. I really can't imagine what they would cut that one out. That's really weird. But I guess there were too many songs from Countdown, so they wanted to make it more concise. I think it's a shame. They should have released the whole thing because, they probably had all the original material anyway. And then there's this 3-disc collection, which does have some pretty rare songs to it. So I would definitely urge you to get War Chest if it's still available. Get it. It wasn't too expensive, and it's just amazing. Then they did Rust in Peace Live. I think this is 2009, 2010, I guess, somewhere from around that time, after Endgame. So kind of a shame because Endgame was such a brilliant album. I don't know if they really needed to do this, but it is great and the band plays really well, so I recommend you getting it. And then of course they had to do Countdown to Extinction because it was such a big hit. This is from 2012, I think. And as the name suggests, they play the whole countdown set here, plus some extra songs. So both of those are, in my opinion, really good. Probably you should get Rust in Peace first, though. I think that's a better album, and they are doing it for the first time, so there's some original excitement there. I also have this Japanese single box set, which has some interesting B-sides. I think it has like 3 or 6 CDs to it. And then there was some extra stickers and stuff like that. So that's also pretty cool. It's the early singles. I think it's cutting off near Countdown to Extinction. So up to that point, the Japanese singles were like collected in this box set. I think they call it the Mega Box. So there you go. See you on the next one. Have a good one.